America by Allen Ginsberg. America, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. America, $2.27, January 17th, 1956. I can't stand my own mind. America, when will we win the human war? Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb. I don't feel good. Don't bother me. I won't write my poem till I'm in the right mind. America, when will you be angelic? America, when will you take off your clothes? When will you look at yourself through the grave? When will you be worthy of your million Trotskyites? America, why are your libraries full of tears? America, when will you send your eggs to India? I'm sick of your insane demands. When can I go to the supermarket and buy what I need with my good looks? America, after all, it is you and I who are perfect, not the next world. Your machinery is too much for me. You made me want to be a saint. There must be some other way to settle this argument. Burroughs is in Tangiers, and I don't think he'll come back. It's sinister. Are you being sinister? Is this some form of practical joke? I'm trying to come to the point. I refuse to give up my obsession. America, stop pushing. I know what I'm doing. America, the plum blossoms are falling. I haven't read the newspapers for months. Every day somebody goes on trial for murder. America, I feel sentimental about the Wobblies. America, I used to be a communist when I'm a kid. I'm not sorry. I smoke marijuana every chance I get. I sit in my house for days on ends and stare at the roses in the closet. When I go to Chinatown, I get drunk and never get laid. My mind is made up. There's going to be trouble. You should have seen me reading Marx. My psychoanalyst thinks I'm perfectly right. I won't say the Lord's Prayer. I have mystical visions and cosmic vibrations. America, I still haven't told you what you did to Uncle Max after he came over from Russia. I'm addressing you. Are you going to let your emotional life be run by Time magazine? I'm obsessed by Time magazine. I read it every week. Its cover stares at me every time I slink past the corner candy store. I read it in the basement of the Berkeley Public Library. It's always telling me about responsibility. Businessmen are serious. Movie producers are serious. Everybody's serious but me. It occurs to me that I am America. I am talking to myself again. Asia is rising against me. I haven't got a Chinaman's chance. I'd better consider my national resources. My national resources consist of 2 joints of marijuana, millions of genitals, an unpublishable private literature that jet planes 1,400 miles an hour, and 25,000 mental institutions. I say nothing about my prisons nor the millions of underprivileged who live in my flower pots under the light of 500 suns. I have abolished the whorehouses of France. Tangiers is next to go. My ambition is to be president, despite the fact that I'm a Catholic. America, how can I write a holy litany in your silly mood? I will continue like Henry Ford. My strophes are as individual as his automobiles, more so. they're all different sexes. America, I will sell you strophes, $2,500 a piece, $500 down on your old strophe. America, free Tom Mooney. America, save the Spanish loyalists. America, Sacco and Vanzetti must not die. America, I am the Scottsboro boys. America, when I was 7, Mama took me to communist cell meetings. They sold us garbanzos, a handful per ticket. A ticket costs a nickel, and the speeches were free. Everybody was angelic and sentimental about the workers. It was all so sincere. You have no idea what a good thing the party was in 1835. Scott Nearing was a grand old man, a real mensch. Mother Bloor, the Silk Strikers, Edwig Wilpsche made me cry once I saw the Yiddish orator Israel Amterplain. Everybody must have been a spy. America, you really don't want to go to war. America, it's them bad Russians. Them Russians, and them Chinamen, and them Russians. The Russia wants to eat us alive. The Russia's power mad. She wants to take our cars from out our garages. Her wants to grab Chicago. Her needs a red Reader's Digest. Her wants our auto plants in Siberia. Him, big bureaucracy running our filling stations. That no good. Ugh. Him make Indians learn read. Him make big black N-word. Ha. Her make us all work 16 hours a day. Help. America, this is quite serious. America, this is the impression I get looking in the television set. America, is this correct? I'd better get right down to the job. It's true I don't want to join the army or turn lathes in precision parts factories. I'm nearsighted and psychopathic anyway. America, I'm putting my queer shoulder to the wheel. Allen Ginsberg, America. Written in Berkeley, January 17th, 1956. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Thomas Hunt Show. Today is Tuesday, August 25th, 2020, and we've got nothing else, so we're going to go right into the news. We're going to start off by covering the end of the USPS hearing yesterday. The Postmaster General met the House of Representatives, and things didn't work out too well for the Postmaster General. He's new to government service, and in this clip, he finds out that, yes, your calendar, your documents, everything that you work on when you work for the public is owned by the public, and when AOC asks for it, she's probably going to get it. Let's check out AOC.
Have you or your staff made any deletions to your calendar since becoming Postmaster General on June 16?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Do ethics officers at USPS have access to your calendar to screen conflicts of interest?
We have an ethics officer that looks at meetings that I have, yes.
And they have full access to your calendar?
They will work, yes.
Can we get a commitment from you to submit your calendar dating back to June 16th to this committee?
I don't know. I will check with counsel.
Well, you know.
I want to set a precedent for my calendar to be submitted every 2 months.
Well, according to regulations that we currently have, electronic calendars that are submitted and maintained on USPS computers are agency records. And so can we get your commitment to hand that calendar over to this committee as a matter of course of our investigation?
I'm new to this. If that is in fact a process that our counsel says I must comply with, then I will do that, yes.
Thank you. Madam Chairwoman, I would say, you know, the details of this calendar are extraordinarily important to the committee's investigations, and if we cannot receive them voluntarily, I would recommend consideration of a subpoena for these details.
Yow. Heading out at the end there, AOC asking for a subpoena. It's, of course, worth noting anyone who studied the 1970s or lived through the 70s, like Mr. DeJoy likely did, is aware of Richard Nixon and his tapes. Don't we all know about the tapes and whether or not the tapes are the president's property or the people's property? Don't we all know a little something about document preservation right now? Haven't had the Hillary Clinton email case such a big deal. Hillary was using private servers, much like Karl Rove, much like Ivanka Trump, both from surrounding organizations. But yes, documents created when you work a public job are owned by the public. It's not a secret. I'm surprised he didn't know that. It's very strange. And here's a blockbuster powerhouse of a section here. This is Representative Katie Porter. She starts out small, questioning him about the prices of things at the UPS. And in the end, she finds out that he doesn't even know who made the changes to the USPS. It wasn't me. It was someone else. It was existing plans. The theory that he's selling here, just to be clear so you guys are on the same page, is that out of nowhere, he gives millions of dollars to Trump. He has a lot of investments in Amazon and APO Logistics. He owns companies that compete with and offer similar services to the USPS. He's put into power, and what he wants us to believe is that they came to him and they said, hey, we've got all these modernization plans. Can we run them? It doesn't seem like he reads the plans. It doesn't seem like he discusses the plans. He just goes with the plans. This guy from the outside meets a bunch of guys on the inside who've got plans all of a sudden and goes with them. That makes sense, right? Of course, a more reasonable explanation of how you would start a new job like that, especially if you had no government experience, that you would go in and you would read those plans and you would discuss those plans and you'd have meetings. And when you implemented those plans, you'd know what would happen, right? That's how you'd normally run a job. Of course, the reality here is that he was probably given information saying, hey, slow down the mail, stop the ballots. So when he comes in, he's got a plan ready to slow down the mail and stop the ballots. When he implements that plan, it slows down the mail and stops the ballots just like in his plan. So it's pretty ridiculous to think that the post office was just sitting around saying, hey, we've got a plan to slow down the mail and stop the ballots. We're just waiting for the right guy. That doesn't make any sense. But let's check out Representative Porter and her excellent questioning of Postmaster DeJoy.
Being with us today, what is the cost of a first-class postage stamp?
55 cents.
Just wanted to check. What about to mail a postcard?
I don't know, ma'am.
You don't know the cost to mail a postcard?
I don't.
What if I want to mail you said 55 cents for a first-class stamp, but what if it's like one of those greeting cards that's a square envelope? Then what is the postage?
I'll submit that I know very little about a postage stamp.
Hey, what is the weight limit? You are more in the shipping logistics business. What's the weight limit for priority mail?
70 pounds.
And what is the starting rate for U.S. Post Office, USPS priority mail?
The starting rate for what?
USPS priority mail.
Starting weight, 14 ounces.
You know, the rate, the price.
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you know about, within 1 million or so, can you tell me how many people voted by mail in the last presidential election?
No, I cannot.
To the nearest 10 million? Is that a no, Mr. DeJoy?
I would be guessing, and I don't want to guess.
Okay, so Mr. DeJoy, I'm concerned. I'm glad you know the price of a stamp, but I'm concerned about your understanding of this agency. And I'm particularly concerned about it because you started taking very decisive action when you became Postmaster General. You started directing the unplugging and destroying of machines, changing of employee procedures, and locking of collection boxes. As a professor, I've always told my students that one of the most important rules in life is to read the instructions. Did you actually read and independently analyze the major overhaul plans before you ordered them to take effect?
Again, I will repeat that I did not order major overhaul plans. The items you identify were not directed by me. I did, and we don't need much analysis to run your trucks to a schedule.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Joy, could you please tell me who did order these changes if you as Postmaster General did not? Because these changes have resulted in, and you have said yourself in this
The
hearing.
Postal Service has been around for 250 years. There are plans. There are many, many executives, almost 30,000 executives
Reclaiming
within
my
the
time.
organization.
Mr.
And there are
DeJoy.
plans that existed prior to my
Reclaiming
arrival
my
that were
time,
continued, that
please.
were implemented.
Mr. DeJoy, if you did not order these actions to be taken, please tell the committee the name of who did.
I do not know.
Mr. DeJoy, did you analyze these plans before they went into effect? You, as Postmaster General, supervise whomever did apparently.
As
direct
I've
these plans
stated
to be
numerous
taken.
times, the plans were in effect and being implemented before I arrived.
But Mr. DeJoy, do you take responsibility for these changes?
I take responsibility from the day I sat in a seat for any service deterioration that has occurred. You're asking
Mr.
about
DeJoy,
you're asking about operational changes that go
Reclaiming my
on throughout the
time.
whole organization around the country.
Mr.
I don't.
DeJoy, I'm reclaiming my time, sir. Mr. DeJoy, will you commit to reversing these changes?
No.
Mr. DeJoy, will you commit to, if the independent, I want to switch to conflicts of interest quickly.
And I want to pause it for a minute. It's so amazing when he says no, because we're pretty much having the few good men conversation here, right? And it's funny because I just watched a Kevin Pollak video and he was talking about working with Jack Nicholson and all that. But did you order the code red? Did you order the code red? And he keeps saying, no, I didn't order it. No, I didn't order it. And now it's like he doesn't even know who ordered the code red. It could have been anybody. Could have been Joe. I just got there. They already had plans ready to destroy the post office, and I just took them and implemented them. I mean, it's a very strange thing. Also, I like the fact that he says that he takes responsibility for the degradation of service. The thing he takes responsibility for is that things are going badly. It's almost like he's sending a little secret message to the president there. He's like, hey, things are going really badly at the post office, and that's the part I take responsibility for. But again, it's just such a stunning idea that he wants us to believe that these existing plans were there and that he comes in, this political donor, ready to ruin the mail service. He doesn't even know how many people vote by mail. He can't even estimate it within 1 million, within 10 million, 80 million people, 100 million people. How many people vote by mail? You think, as someone who works for the post office, especially Postmaster General, someone would have run that by you. They would have said, hey, we got a really big deal. 100,000 people vote by mail every year. And you can remember that. Or you could say, hey, I think it was around 100,000, or I think it was around, 5 million, or whatever it is. You could have the ballpark, right? He doesn't even know. He's not really that interested in the post office. He doesn't know how much it costs to send a postcard. He doesn't know the starting rate for priority mail. I think it's like $4, $8. I mean, you start out, how much is the minimum to send a package? Seems like something you'd want to know if you were interested in the post office. But again, he's just interested in destroying the post office. Let's go back and listen to more about his conflicts of interest.
Will you commit that if the Inspector General finds that you committed misconduct with regard to your financial interests in any other company, such as XPO Logistics or Amazon, will you commit, if the Inspector General finds that you committed misconduct, will you commit to then resigning?
I don't believe they will find misconduct, but I don't see why I would commit here right now to resigning for any reason.
Well, you don't think there's any reason that you should ever resign?
No reason that I've heard here today.
Okay.
Absolutely classic. Look at Katie Porter looking up. Even she can't believe this answer. If you're accused of wrongdoing and the committee finds that you were guilty of wrongdoing, will you resign? Again, with the same thing as the rule of law question from yesterday. Are you above the rule of law? You say no. Will you resign if you're convicted of wrongdoing, if there's a judgment against you? The answer is yes. For him to say anything else is insane, and she's not prepared for it. Look at the eye roll here. Look at this unbelievable reaction from a representative. She's like, you won't resign? And then he says there's no reason he could ever think of that he would resign. There's nothing he could ever do wrong in this position that would lead to his resignation. It's a really impressive statement about being above the law and about not caring about the responsibilities, not caring about the democracy, not seeing it. He doesn't see himself as a caretaker as a post office. He sees himself as the last postmaster general, and that he's going to run it into the ground, and that he sees no reason to resign. Let's say the post office fails to deliver all the mail tomorrow. I don't think I should resign. Let's say they find out that he has $30 million of investments in XPO Logistics, a company that directly competes against the post office. I don't think I should resign. Let's say that we find some written documentation of the president asking him to fix the election. I don't think I should resign. It's a stunning statement. It takes Representative Porter back. She's flustered. She doesn't even know what to say, but she does manage to find her footing and continue. Let's go back a little bit so we can watch that incredible exchange again. Remember, this guy's a public servant. He works for the people. I mean, the post office is kind of a private business, but we all know it's not. And just a bizarre attitude of his ownership of the post office.
Misconduct. Will you commit to then resigning?
I don't believe they will find misconduct, but I don't see why I would commit here right now to resigning for any reason.
Well, you don't think there's any reason that you should ever resign?
No reason that I've heard here today.
Okay, Mr. DeJoy, do you today, because this has been, you've gone back and forth a bit, I want to ask one final question. Do you own any financial interest, whether options or stocks, covered calls, bought or sold, do you own today any financial interest in Amazon?
I do not.
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman may answer the question in more detail if he wishes. The chair.
And that's about it for the USPS hearings yesterday. It was pretty unbelievable. We also have an update here about the Republican Party platform. This is really unbelievable, hard to take. A lot of people, serious people used to be, well, we can't read it today, but a lot of serious people used to be Republicans. They used to be a political party, and they used to have a platform. And a platform, while it's not carried by law, a lot of times presidents have a platform, and they'll actively go against it. I'm sure in the W. Bush or in the H.W. Bush platform, I'm sure there was a no new taxes pledge. Very famously, he said, "Read my lips. No new taxes." And as it worked out, he actually did have to raise taxes, so it destroyed his pledge. So the platform's not legally binding. The platform's really more aspirational. What would you do if you were in power? How would you govern? And you describe it in the platform. And usually the Republican Party platform has things like the protection of pro-life. They're against abortion. They're against taxes. They're against business regulations. Maybe they have some foreign policy aspects, things like treaties or something like that. You write it up into a platform, and this is kind of what the party establishment is for, what the whole group of everyone, the candidates come and go, but behind the scenes, a bunch of people work for the Republicans, and they commit their whole lives and soul to this. And every 4 years, they have a big debate and an argument about what the platform should be and if it should have something about Ukraine in it or something like that. And last time they famously removed the Ukraine section because they didn't want to stand with Ukraine anymore. Sad. But you have a platform. It's like the basis. It's the understanding. It's for all the wonky people that really want to see what you'd do if you'd govern, they could go out and read the platform. And I think the Democratic Party released a 91-page platform, so that they can tend to be quite long. They're not legally binding. Sure, people say, hey, you drifted from the platform, but they can't do anything about it. They're just writing articles and things and books or whatever. But this year, the Republicans have chosen not to have a platform. Like, I can't make that up. There is no platform. It's not like there's a short platform or a 10-point platform or, we did a brief platform this year. We were busy staying inside and hiding from the virus, which is what they used as their excuse, by the way. They couldn't make a platform because of the virus. Ah! Meanwhile, the Democrats had no problem making a platform. Lots of people use video meetings, shared Google documents, email. There's a lot of ways to make a platform. I mean, it's a document. You could have some college students do it. Again, it's not binding. It's not legally, it's not like, oh, enforce the platform. It's something you should have. It makes you a real political party. And they don't have one this year. So if you ever want to say, hey, Republicans, what do you stand for? Apparently it's nothing. Instead of a platform, they released a statement saying they would support Trump's agenda. And that's it. What is that agenda? That's what the platform's for. I mean, he's the president. He could tell you. He could tell you, hey, I got 10 points of what I'm going to do next. Blah, blah, blah. Infrastructure week, right? He's ready. A couple more private chats with Putin. I don't know. Write it on the paper. Good relations with Russia. Encourage global warming. Spread the coronavirus. Kill more Americans. Like, write it on the paper, right? Have a platform. Stand for something. Or you could just be hollow and empty. And there's this word that keeps getting thrown around out there. Cult of personality. Not the song. Great song. Not the song, but the cult of personality. And it's something, again, that people often use when describing Adolf Hitler. And I know that we lose the argument on the internet, Godwin's law. Every time you mention World War II or Hitler, you lose the argument. But when we're talking cult of personality, that's a cult of personality. It had this kind of feeling over there in Germany that the Führer, the leader, could do no wrong. Even when it was crazy shit, like putting otherwise innocent people in a ghetto, putting them same people on a train, taking them to a camp, etc., etc. No one knew, the Germans didn't really know about that, but still, the idea was there. The leader wanted it done. The leader would make speech after speech about how much he hated those people and how bad they were and so on and so forth, convincing the populace. They already knew the leader was right, but now they knew that the leader was right about hate. So they could follow the leader and they could hate who the leader hates, and they could feel what the leader feels. And that's why they keep saying cult of personality, because you don't have a platform. There's no platform. If you're a Republican and you're out there and you're like, I like the Republicans, I like the tax cuts, I've been this way for a long time, blah, blah, blah. Well, it doesn't even say tax cuts on the platform because there's no platform. It's really great. It's like, the old Bible story that you build your house on a solid foundation, right? Build your house on the rock. So it's kind of a three little pigs kind of a story. He built his house on sand and then the water came and washed it away. And he built his house on dirt, but then there was a fire and the dirt came and all these things that washed away. It didn't work again. But the smart man, he built his house on the rock and he had a strong foundation underneath his house. That rock, of course, is the church, right? In the biblical story. And this rock here would be having a platform. But they don't have a platform. I talked to some people about businesses and marketing recently, and I talked about mission statements and company profiles and how you communicate as a company. And I tried to instill in them this value of the mission statement. I used to think they're goofy, but I've been through several mission statement brainstorming seminars now, and I think it's important because having a mission statement, understanding your company profile, how you communicate, having a platform, these allow you to know how to communicate for the company. These allow you to know how to act for the company. It's kind of like a little rule book where you don't have to ask your boss all the time, is this part of our rules? Is this part of our communication? If you understand the mission statement, if you understand the company profile, if you understand the platform, you can speak, you can act, you can go out and say, hey, I'm supporting the president, I'm supporting the platform. And if someone comes along and says, hey, that wasn't in the platform, that's not what the president supports, they have a point. They can go to the platform and look it up. They can look at the text. there's no text. It's as postmodern could be. It's a party without a platform. And this affects everyone. This affects all the senators, all the representatives, all of them that want to say, hey, I support cutting taxes because it's in the president's platform. It's what we Republicans believe in. Well, now it seems like the Republicans believe in nothing, Lebowski. They believe in nothing. They're nihilists. It sounds exhausting. But yes, they believe in nothing. And when you believe in nothing and you don't have a platform, you get the kind of convention that we're about to watch. This is night one of the Republican National Convention. I'm not sure if we're going to have the heart to do this every night, but there are some good clips. There are some good quotes, and we're going to try to get you through it right here on the Thomas Hunt Show. So give us a thumbs up and a share. If you know any liberal Bitcoiners, I bet there's about 5, share the show with them. This is good stuff. Otherwise, if you're hate watching, enjoy your hate watching. That's a good way to experience your hate and let that evil out there. And then maybe if you get tired of hate and evil and the other side, you could consider coming over to the light side. But let's check out the Republican National Convention. The Republican Party has and will continue to enthusiastically support the president's America First agenda and will adjourn without adopting a new platform until the 2024 Republican National Convention. Like that's going to happen. It did not mention any specific policies or goals. No goals? Are you serious? Yes, no goals. I mean, this could have just been 10 points. Lower taxes, less regulation, no abortion, no women's rights, constrict voting, whatever you're going to do, you put something on there. You could have at least 10 bullet points where you're like, this is what it means to be a conservative in 2020. They didn't even try that. Let's see, we talked about the post office yesterday. We talked about the question, Mr. DeJoy, is your backup plan to be pardoned like Roger Stone? And Tom Hartman, author and radio host himself, says, you can always tell when a question draws blood. They laugh and pretend it's such a trifle, it's not worth commenting on. Will there be a pardon? Will DeJoy get a pardon for wrecking the post office? We'll find out, just not today. Cardinal Dolan defends giving a prayer at the RNC. Of the criticism, he tells CNN, I maintain almost neutrality when it comes to politics. We, the church, absolutely don't get involved in party politics. RNC involvement is giving me a positive criticism these past days. And of course, we were reminded of the Catholic Church during World War II. It seems that for many Germans, adherence to the Christian faith provided compatible with at least passive acquiescence, if not active support for, the Nazi dictatorship. It's interesting how religion can be used in times of crisis. Of course, in the South during the Civil War and before that, the Christian religion was used to justify slavery. African Americans and other people are seen as less than human. This allowed them to be enslaved. They were seen as less in every way. And they used the Bible to justify it. Yes, it's got good parts. It's got bad parts. At least it's a book. It's not like a non-existent platform, but still. It's an interesting computer note here on the side. Signal, the private messaging app, used to pass your data through a proxy server to give you some privacy, which could also be a honeypot. But now they just make a query direct from your phone to the website. So don't click on a link. Link previews are a bad idea. It looks like they're doing leak previews. So it seems like it's just kind of leaking your data. So keep an eye out for that on Signal. Link previews would show anyone that your IP or whatever was looking at that website. So I guess if it's just a baseball website, you're fine. But if it's more than that, So much for Signal. And let's see what's going on. Oh, they're talking about Obama. Oh, this is the North Carolina. So as it says here in the description, Trump mentions Obama and a supporter screams out, "Monkey." Trump then laughs and says, like the racist that he is, "Only in North Carolina." And meanwhile, Jacob Blake, who was shot by the police, is in the ICU fighting for his life after being shot 7 times in the back by a white cop. So there's no racism in America, yet still someone felt okay yelling "monkey" to describe the former president while in front of the current president. And while he almost admonished him, he almost said, "Hey, don't call my opponent racist names." In the end, he just laughed about it and giggled. Let's watch.
They're trying to steal the election from the Republicans. That's what it means. In a very, very nice way, I will tell you, they are trying to steal the election, just like they did it last time with spying, and we caught them, and that included President Obama, and that included, let's be nice, Biden. This can only happen in North Carolina. They're trying to steal the election from...
See, so the first one where he says, "Let's be nice," that was kind of the right thing to say there, right? He was trying to pull it back. He's not quite John McCain here. He's not going to sit him down and give him a little lecture and help him understand that, we have disagreements. We have political disagreements, but we don't need to call each other racist names, right? But that lasts for about half a second. Then he can see that the audience is into it, and he just doubles down. He's like, "Oh, only in North Carolina." Which is a lot like the thing he said in Florida. I think they were screaming something at him last time. I forget what it was, but it was the same thing. He was like, "Oh, only in Florida can you say that kind of racist stuff out loud and we can laugh about it. Ha ha ha." So pretty stunning racism defense there from the commander-in-chief. Here's the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. He's maskless, shaking hands, and even kissing cheeks at Trump's event in North Carolina. So we're doing our best to spread the virus and kill more Americans. Very sad. As Aaron Rupar quips, Herman Cain could not be reached for comment. Of course, Herman Cain attended the president's rally in Tulsa, and died 2 weeks later from the coronavirus. So it's a good time to be out there shaking hands, kissing babies, spreading that virus. And this guy meets directly with the president. So it's very possible here he'll be tested and he won't be able to see the president anymore. Before the convention started, GOP Senator Jim Inhofe was caught in a decades-long corruption scandal to get government contracts to his close associates. Senator Jim Inhofe, Republican from Oklahoma. Meanwhile, other Republican news, Jerry Falwell Jr. has officially resigned as president of Liberty University after a series of controversies. Well, let's get into that. Allegedly, the pool boy slept with his wife in front of him multiple times, and he watched. Which, of course, for a normal person is just a hobby. But this is a religious person who spent his life telling you that you are doing wrong and that you need to do better. And now, as often is the case with these people, it turns out that he was doing wrong and he needs to do better. He's a hypocrite. He says one thing and he does the other. It's much worse because he says it. It's actually a unique place in hell for hypocrites. It's in Dante. You can go read about it. I think it's even worse than lawyers. Word breakers, oath breakers, people who break their promises, and hypocrites. Special place in hell. Shout out to Matsui M. He made a fantastic Kobe Bryant inspirational video. Check it out on YouTube. He's made some fantastic videos in the past. He said this one took him 4 years in the making. He wasn't sure if he'd ever finish it. Eric Trump has refused to comply with a subpoena. It's alleged that the president's son was intimately involved in Trump Organization dealings under investigation. The announcement from the New York Attorney General came just as the RNC convention got underway. It'll be interesting to see. I think Eric is scheduled to speak tonight. I doubt he's going to mention the subpoena. And now we get to the real part of the speech here, the highlights of the Republican National Convention. This is Kimberly Guilfoyle. Apparently, she's formerly a Democrat and formerly married to California Governor, formerly San Francisco Mayor, Gavin Newsom. So it's very interesting to see how quickly she's changed sides. She's now dating Donald Trump Jr. and was given a position on the campaign. She's being paid very handsomely while she dates the president's son. Previously, Guilfoyle had, I think she had a coronavirus positive test, and they were worried that was going to get transmitted to the president's son. Not sure what happened about that, but she's here tonight to scream and to yell and to get upset. In this speech, she trashes California, where she used to live and where she used to be married to the now governor, Gavin Newsom. As Aaron Rupar said, Kim Guilfoyle is the second speaker of the night to trash California. And as I joked, yell louder. Let your hate flow through you. Let's check out a little bit of Kimberly Guilfoyle's 2-minute hate.
If you want to see the socialist Biden-Harris future for our country, just take a look at California. It is a place of immense wealth, immeasurable innovation, and immaculate environment. And the Democrats turned it into a land of discarded heroin needles in parks, riots in streets, and blackouts in homes. If you want to see the social...
Powerful hate speech there from Kimberly Guilfoyle. Let's see if we have some more. As Aaron Rupar says, this is lunatic, fascist stuff from Kimberly Guilfoyle. Let's check out this short clip.
They want to destroy this country and everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty, your freedom. They want to control what you see and think and believe so that they can control how you live. They want to enslave you to the weak, dependent, liberal, victim ideology to the point that you will not recognize this country or yourself.
Now, I know a lot of people are saying this sounds like a Hitler speech, but I want to go the other way. I think this sounds like a Stalin speech. This is a man of strength. They are going to take everything away from you. They are going to take your lives. Unbelievable, huh? And this is the positive convention. They thought the Democrats went too negative in their convention, so they were going to come out with a positive view of America here at the Republican National Convention. Let's see, the same clip. Many people saying this is some serious dictator propaganda in North Korea here. She also, during her speech, she said something like, "Be the hate-filled change the world wants to see." It was as if she was quoting Gandhi. Pretty neat stuff. Kirsten Warren here writes, "She legit scared me." And let's look at this short clip here.
That beacon shined bright once again for the world to see. America, it's all on the line. That beacon shined bright once again for the...
Seems like a witch from a 1970s film, just screaming at you and curses and bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. As Yamiche Alcindor reminds us, Trump campaign insisted that the RNC would be uplifting. Speakers tonight have said Democrats want to keep black people on a mental plantation, have an out-of-control mob come to a neighborhood near you, and enslave Americans to a weak, dependent, liberal victim ideology. Where's the uplifting part? When does it get uplifting? Horse Whisperer says that Kimberly Guilfoyle is delivering her remarks in a weird, affected growl yell. Basically, she sounds like a phone sex operator if it was a version of phone sex where a deranged woman just yelled like you had asked her to wear a mask at Costco. Zing. Danny Zucker, a Hollywood writer and producer, writes, "Hey, great job, Kim Guilfoyle, but for this next take, really go for it. Big energy and action." And he hashtagged it scary yelling woman. Seems about right. They also seem to be campaigning directly against Bernie Sanders most of the time, despite the fact that he's not the nominee. That doesn't seem to change their plans. They just improvised and went with it. Of course, we remember the quotes from 1984. Here's a great one shared by our friend Bitcoin Girl, a truth seeker. It says, "The party told you to reject all evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. So do not believe what you see, believe what we tell you." They said that they were fighting the forces of anarchy and communism. But they mean in the Democratic Party. They mean in the U.S. They don't mean abroad. Nikki Haley started talking to herself about in the third person. That was a really weird speech. Molly Jong Fast reminds us, you know what's more dangerous than cancel culture? Coronavirus. They said, the president's son said, "Courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party, the virus struck." Just mainstreaming some conspiracy theories there. Nothing wrong with that. And again, what about our trade deal with China? Is anybody thinking ahead here? I know it's fun to insult China and say it's the China virus and all this other kind of nonsense that the president's been trotting out. But back in reality, we need a trade deal with them, right? I mean, we need to continue trade with China. We have all these different interests. We don't want to piss them off. Why are you claiming that they directly, not just China, like you'd been claiming, the entire country, but now specifically the Chinese Communist Party? We have ongoing trade negotiations with these people. I mean, I know it's going to be a Cold War, but could we try not to make it a Cold War? Just saying, kind of makes sense to me. And here's Nikki Haley describing the United Nations as a den of murderers, dictators, and thieves. As Aaron Rupar says, what?
It was an honor of a lifetime to serve as the United States ambassador to the United Nations. Now, the UN is not for the faint of heart. It's a place where dictators, murderers, and thieves denounce America and then put their hands out and demand that we pay their bills.
Oh, that just doesn't seem true at all. It just seems like she's making stuff up about the place she used to work. And I'll bet it's going to be very hard for her to make any trade deals or anything in the future now that she's described the United Nations as a den of dictators, murderers, and thieves. Nikki Haley for president, 2024. Dictators, murderers, and thieves. Very strange. Here's Danny Zucker again, nailing Trump, showing Donald Trump Jr. as Orson Welles, clapping for his girlfriend. Trump Jr.'s comments on Guilfoyle's yelling speech that the entire internet reacted badly to says, "Absolutely incredible. Your passion for our country knows no bounds. We will take Poland by the fall." It's very strange. Trump Jr. started saying Beijing Biden. They keep trying to stick a name on him. They keep having no success. Name calling, childish actions don't seem to be working this year, but they keep trying. So then Beijing Biden, the monster sneered, curling and twisting his lips in disgust. A minute later, he would jealously compare Biden to the Loch Ness Monster. So Loch Ness Monster started tweeting yesterday. Aaron Rupar says, "I'm so old, I remember when Don Jr. was going to run Daddy's business and stay out of politics to avoid conflicts of interest." Yes, I remember that too. It's hard to imagine. It looked like he was about to cry, I mentioned, looking at his strange, tearful eyes, very red. Then Danny Zucker recommended the same thing, saying, "Why is Don Trump Jr. crying? Did Daddy yell at you again?" Later on, cocaine would begin to trend all over Twitter, as many people accused both Trump Jr. and Guilfoyle of being on cocaine. They had a lot of energy. He was stamping his hand very strangely. He had a lot of motion and energy, and his eyes looked fuzzy and red. Perhaps they had just had some cocaine. They had the couple that had defended their house with machine guns from peaceful protesters. That's something you want to celebrate. And here's a great meme about it. When you order it online versus when it arrives. We can see them all dressed up nicely for their RNC experience. And we can see at the bottom them randomly pointing guns at people, loaded guns, their fingers on the trigger. Their speech was unimpressive. And finally, Senator Tim Scott closed out the night saying, "Do we want a society that breeds success or a culture that cancels everything it slightly disagrees with?" Reminder, Trump just called for a boycott of Goodyear tires and threatened to remove them from his presidential limo. Seems like cancel culture on both sides. They had a caption contest here for the Kimberly Guilfoyle evil woman celebration at the end of her speech. It's gotten quite a lot of photoshops and quite a lot of action already. I got in a little trouble here for the number of flags at the convention. I said, I have not seen so many flags in a long time. And you just look at the incredible, overwhelming number of flags. They even have some hung banner style from the ceiling, of course, reminding us of other banners that were hung high from the ceiling. I guess we're all just Lenny Riefenstahl fans, right? Aaron Rupar says, "I hope the RNC makes the stakes of this election clear to people who aren't immersed in this stuff all day. It's sanity versus insanity." Does seem to sum it up there. And this was the end of the night. This was their impressive technical ending to the show. How did it end? Senator Tim Scott started to walk off the stage and then remembered he should just stand there. They ran a little music and it ended. Here's the end of the RNC Night 1.
United States of America. God bless. United States.
I like he does the kind of
God
the 80s freeze here at the end. He's like, oh, freeze and hold that pose and hold it. Keep holding. All right, very good. But yeah, they should have had him do a high five or something. Get him some of that. He could have jumped in the air. Yes. But very sad to see Senator Tim Scott debase himself in this way. But what else can you do? He's a Republican. Mrs. Betty Bowers writes, "Given what I've heard about Don Jr.'s college years, tonight's alleged cocaine addiction would qualify as a pre-existing condition." So that's good to know. Also was trending as the Grateful Dead song, "Riding That Train, High on Cocaine." They worry that intranasal cocaine could cause rebound congestion, leading to snuffy nose and teary eyes. It could also lead to enlarged pupils, invincibility, emotional liability, and it revved up those psychopathic hand beats. Very strange to see the president's son watery and his nose stuffed. Many people reacting to this on Twitter. Especially love this one. Play the GIF. Come on, Twitter. Oh, it says Donald Trump Jr. loves cocaine, hates cocaine, but loves the way it smells. And it won't play the GIF for you on screen. But anyway, how fucked up was Donald Trump Jr.'s speech tonight? Cocaine is now the #1 trending topic on Twitter. It's pretty bad. And I think we're going to head towards the end of the show. We might try to lose our ad rights here. Here's one of my favorite bands. I actually got to see them live once at a YouTube concert series. Actually came through Sacramento, of all places. Though I would have driven to San Francisco. These guys do Auto-Tune the News, now Songify the News, the Gregory Brothers, and they were fast on this, man. They had this out while the convention was still going. Let's listen to Kimberly Guilfoyle, Songified by the Gregory Brothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty, determine your destiny. Don't let them destroy your family. They want to destroy the country.
Clearly a work in progress, but expect more greatness from the Gregory Brothers. They've been doing this for years, and man, they were on it last night. They were quick to the draw. Sarah Cooper writes, Republicans gathered to proclaim how well the country is doing in an event held virtually because a containable virus killed almost 180,000 Americans in 6 months. The virus was hardly mentioned at the convention, and in all of the external videos, even the videos with the president meeting with the hostages and so on and so forth, no one wore masks. Very little social distancing was practiced, and it almost seemed like there was no virus at all. And now for the end of the show, we have a very special reading. Let me drink a little water first. Like you were promised in the title, here it is, Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone. Once upon a time you dressed so fine, you threw the bums a dime in your prime, didn't you? People'd call, say, beware doll, you're bound to fall. You thought they were all kidding you. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging for your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? You've gone to the finest school, all right, Miss Lonely, but you know you only get juiced in it. And nobody has ever taught you how to live out on the street. And now you find out you're going to have to get used to it. You'd say you'd never compromise with a mystery tramp, but now you realize he's not selling any alibis as you stare into the vacuum of his eyes and ask him, do you want to make a deal? How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own, with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? You never turned around to see the frowns on the jugglers and the clowns when they all come down and did tricks for you. You never understood that it ain't no good. You shouldn't let other people get your kicks for you. You used to ride on the chrome horse with your diplomat, who carried on his shoulder a Siamese cat. Ain't it hard when you discover that he really wasn't where it's at, after he took from you everything he could steal? How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own, with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? Princesses on the steeple and all the pretty people, they're drinking, thinking that they've got it made, exchanging all kinds of precious gifts and things. But you'd better lift your diamond ring, you'd better pawn it, babe. You used to be so amused at Napoleon in rags and the language that he used. Go to him now, he calls you, you can't refuse. When you've got nothing, you've got nothing to lose. You're invisible now. You got no secrets to conceal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own, with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Bob Dylan, like a rolling stone. Thanks so much for joining us. Give us a thumbs up and a share. Subscribe down below. Until next time, bye-bye.